So what we've decided to do is we've started a Nelk Kickstarter page.
Most people think Kyle Forgeard won because he sold merchandise. That explanation is clean, satisfying, and fundamentally wrong. It suggests that success is about finding the right product at the right moment.
Practical joke could have consequences when the targets are police officers. Tonight, a prank against the LAPD has gone viral online, and the department is speaking out.
But real leverage, it doesn't show up like that. It accumulates slowly, invisibly, through thousands of decisions that look reckless but create optionality. Full Send didn't make Kyle Forgeard powerful. Full Send revealed how much power he already built. And when I say power, I'm not talking about subscriber counts. I'm talking about something far more valuable. Platform independence. The kind that survives demonetization, algorithm changes, and platform death. The kind that turns attention into infrastructure that generates revenue whether you post content or not. And to understand that, you have to go back to 2010. Back to Mississauga, Ontario. Back to a film student at Ryerson University who made a decision that changed everything. He dropped out. Kyle wasn't building a brand in 2010, he was learning what most film students never learn. That structure kills spontaneity. That polish kills authenticity. Film school teaches you to plan, to storyboard, to create something critics would appreciate. But Kyle was watching YouTube reward chaos, reward rawness. The platform didn't care about cinematography, it cared about watch time. And Kyle had a choice. Pursue validation from the academic system or pursue validation from the algorithm. And he chose the algorithm.
So what we've decided to do is we've started a Nelk Kickstarter page.
July 2010. The Nelk channel launches. Kyle and his friends start posting sketch comedy. Nothing exceptional, nothing sophisticated, just kids with cameras. The production value is terrible. The comedy is juvenile. But they're uploading consistently, learning through repetition. Most creators quit after 10 videos. Kyle didn't have that luxury because he'd already burned the bridge. He'd dropped out. He'd committed. And commitment changes behavior. By 2014, 4 years in, Nelk discovered something. Pure sketch comedy wasn't enough. They needed real reactions, real stakes. August 2014, Kyle meets Jesse Sebastiani. They start collaborating. The content shifts to pranks, not pranks for chaos, pranks with structure, with escalation, with consequences.
You don't come to my birthday? Dude, I took you to we went to Blueface together. What do you mean you only went to Blueface because I paid?
They get kicked out of stores, yelled at by managers, threatened, arrested. The consequences were real. And when consequences are real, reactions are real.
I thought I saw you do it with your iPod.
That's my dad's sweater from the Holocaust.
I don't know, you kids and your apps these days, I don't know what they can do.
I didn't even touch you.
When reactions are real, content is compelling.
What you guys up to?
Nothing, just...
The what?
Nothing.
Huh?
Oh my god.
Is your buddy back here okay?
I don't know. Yeah, he's fine. You're fine.
January 2015. Everything changes. Coke prank on cops drops. Kyle tells police he has coke in the trunk. They assume cocaine. Backup gets called, then he reveals it's Coca-Cola. The officers are not amused. The video goes viral. 44 million views. The LAPD publicly criticizes it, and that criticism doesn't hurt Nelk, it amplifies them. This is pattern recognition. Controversy isn't damage. Controversy is distribution. When traditional media attacks you, they're doing your marketing for free. Nelk's audience doesn't trust traditional media, so when traditional media says this is bad, the audience hears this is authentic. Kyle understood this instinctively. He didn't apologize, he leaned in. And by 2018, Nelk crossed 1 million subscribers. They received YouTube's Gold Creator Award. But Kyle wasn't even thinking about validation. He was thinking about vulnerability, because he'd noticed something. YouTube could take it all away in an instant. Content moderation was tightening. The platform wanted advertisers. Advertisers wanted brand safety. And Nelk's days were numbered. Now, most creators panic when they see this coming. They tone down their content, they become advertiser-friendly. They sacrifice authenticity to extend their lifespan. It never works. Kyle chose a different strategy. He chose to make the platform irrelevant, but you can't do that overnight. You need alternative revenue. You need infrastructure that exists outside platform control. And Kyle started building that infrastructure years before he'd need it. 2017, Nelk launches Full Send merchandise, not as a business, as an experiment. They're already promoting the phrase full send in videos, Canadian slang meaning go hard. But Kyle redefined it. Any activity you do, give it your absolute best. And the phrase became philosophy. Philosophy became identity. Identity became culture. Culture became monetizable. So the first drop was modest. T-shirts, hoodies. But they sold it differently. Limited drops, artificial scarcity, time pressure. Once it sold out, it was gone forever. And this transforms the relationship with the audience. When merchandise is always available, it's a transaction. When it's scarce, it's an event. Events create urgency. Urgency creates decisions. But more importantly, events create culture. I mean, people who bought weren't just customers, they were members. And that feeling generates loyalty. That feeling survives platform changes. November 2020, the infrastructure becomes essential. Nelk posts a video promoting a party at Illinois State University during COVID-19. Gatherings are banned, health orders are in effect, 200 people show up. The video shows crowds, shows partying, shows flagrant violation of pandemic restrictions. YouTube sees it, and YouTube makes the decision Kyle knew was coming eventually. They demonetize the channel completely, permanently. No ad revenue, no YouTube premium revenue, done. Now, for most channels, this is death. YouTube ad revenue is the foundation, the primary income stream, the thing that makes full-time content creation possible. I mean, without it, you can't sustain a team, you can't afford equipment, you can't justify the time investment. Most creators would panic, would try to appeal, to tone down content to get monetization back, would slowly die as their audience leaves because the content got boring. But Kyle, he didn't panic, because he'd seen this coming, because he'd prepared. Nelk had been building alternative revenue for 3 years, since 2017, since the first Full Send merchandise drop. They'd been testing, learning, refining, understanding what their audience would buy, understanding how to create scarcity that drove demand, understanding how to convert attention into revenue without platform intermediaries. The demonetization didn't kill them, it validated them. It proved the system worked. 2020. Full Sell merchandise generates $50 million in revenue. $50 million in 1 year from a demonetized channel, from a team that YouTube explicitly said violated their policies. The platform rejected them, the audience didn't. The platform cut off their primary income. The audience funded them directly through merchandise purchases. This is the power of platform independence. This is what infrastructure looks like when it works. Now, the system Kyle built worked like this. YouTube was marketing, free marketing. Every video was an advertisement for Full Send culture. Every view was exposure. Every subscriber was a potential customer. YouTube provided the attention. Full Send converted the attention into revenue. YouTube couldn't stop the attention from flowing because the content was genuinely good. People wanted to watch, and YouTube couldn't stop the conversion because it happened off-platform. On their own website, through their own payment systems, through their own distribution networks, the business model was anti-fragile by design. Now, most creators monetize attention directly. Ads, sponsors, affiliate links. They extract value immediately from the platform. But Kyle converted attention into infrastructure. Infrastructure that existed independently. Infrastructure that couldn't be demonetized. Infrastructure that platforms couldn't control. And the separation was everything. YouTube could control what showed up in search results and recommendations, but they couldn't control whether people bought hoodies. That independence was the difference between survival and death. December 2021, Forbes names Kyle to their 30 under 30 list. Not for YouTube, for business. Kyle had successfully pivoted from content creator to entrepreneur without abandoning content. He'd added identity. He'd layered. However, merchandise has a ceiling. You need new revenue streams to keep growing. You need expansion into new categories. And Kyle found that expansion in an unlikely place: alcohol. June 2021, Happy Dad Hard Seltzer launches. Now the premise is simple. Make a hard seltzer that doesn't taste like every other hard seltzer. Less carbonation, more flavor, regular-sized cans. Position it as the anti-seltzer seltzer. Make it feel authentic, make it feel like Nelk. So, the alcohol industry is brutal for startups. Distribution is controlled by a 3-tier system. You need relationships, you need shelf space, you need massive marketing budgets. And most beverage startups die because they can't get distribution. Happy Dad didn't have any of those problems. Happy Dad had Nelk. So every Nelk video became a Happy Dad advertisement. Not overtly, just naturally. The crew drinking it on camera, Happy Dad in the background, organic integration, zero marketing spend. The audience created the demand forced retailers to stock it. The retailers forced distributors to carry it. The entire supply chain got reversed. California launch, sold out everywhere within days. Empty shelves became free marketing. Parents driving to multiple stores became proof of demand. Production couldn't keep up, but scarcity drives desire. Desire drives attention. Attention drives distribution expansion. By 2023, Happy Dad became a top 5 hard seltzer brand at Total Wine. Top 5! Not among creator brands, among all hard seltzer brands. Competing with White Claw and Truly, brands with $100 million marketing budgets and decades of distribution relationships. Happy Dad did it in 2 years. 2 years from launch to top 5. I mean, that doesn't happen in the beverage industry. That doesn't happen anywhere in consumer packaged goods. But it happened because the distribution model was inverted. Demand created supply, rather than supply creating demand. And think about what that means. Traditional brands build through capital expenditure. They spend millions on focus groups, product development, branding agencies, advertising campaigns. They negotiate with distributors for months. They pay for shelf space. They subsidize retailers. They hire sales teams. They do market testing. It's a years-long process requiring tens of millions in upfront investment, and most brands still fail. Most never achieve profitability. Most die within 3 years. Happy Dad skipped all of that. They had built-in demand from day one. 3 million YouTube subscribers who trusted them. Millions more who followed on Instagram, Twitter, TikTok. An audience that had been watching their content for years, that had bought their merchandise repeatedly, that had proven they would support Nelk financially. When Happy Dad launched, it wasn't a question of whether people would buy it. It was a question of whether production could keep up with demand. And initially, of course, it couldn't. But that scarcity wasn't artificial. It was real. Production capacity couldn't match demand. Distribution networks couldn't move product fast enough. Retailers couldn't keep it on shelves. But that scarcity became part of the story. Kids posting photos of empty Happy Dad displays became user-generated marketing. Parents calling multiple stores became proof of cultural relevance. The secondary market charging premiums became validation of value. Every shortage amplified the brand. And by 2024, Happy Dad started sponsoring mainstream sports. UFC fights, NASCAR races, college football games, traditional sports partnerships, not as a niche creator brand trying to look legitimate, as a legitimate competitor challenging category leaders. The brand had crossed over. It had transcended its origin.
Holy
That's
shit.
insane.
Boys, if you're gonna want Nelk merch, you're gonna have to wait for that upload when we release, man.
Like, it gets 1 million views and then they just take it down.
Or block you from uploading your
That's
content.
so annoying.
Someone could drink Happy Dad without knowing anything about Nelk, without watching YouTube, without following any creator content. The brand had achieved escape velocity from its creator origin. And by 2025, Happy Dad was valued between $250 million and $300 million, generating $80 to $100 million in annual revenue. Sold across dozens of states, available in major grocery chains, liquor stores, convenience stores. Not slowing down, still growing, still expanding, still disrupting. The brand transcended Nelk. It became its own entity with its own gravity, self-sustaining, generating value independent of content creation, I mean, that's the holy grail of creator businesses, building something that can exist independently, something that doesn't require constant content production to sustain, something that has brand equity separate from personal equity. However, Kyle didn't stop creating content because content wasn't just marketing anymore. Content was cultural maintenance. I mean, without content, the brands would drift, they'd become corporate, they'd lose what made them special. Content was the anti-corporate antibody. August 2021, Full Send podcast launches. First guest, Dana White. The podcast immediately establishes credibility. A long-form conversation, no scripted questions, just talking. It's Joe Rogan's model applied to Nelk's audience. March 2022, Donald Trump appears on Full Send podcast. The episode gets 5 million views in 24 hours. Then, YouTube removes it. Doesn't matter, it's everywhere. The Full Send podcast becomes the second most popular podcast in the United States on Spotify. Number 2, behind only Joe Rogan. And the guest list keeps building. Elon Musk, Mike Tyson, Andrew Tate, Benjamin Netanyahu, these aren't random appearances, these are cultural signifiers. Each guest reinforces Nelk's positioning, outside the mainstream media, outside traditional gatekeepers. They're the platform for voices that mainstream won't platform.
Here's the middle do it, even with us tonight. So drink, motherfucker, drink, motherfucker, drink, motherfucker, drink. So drink, motherfucker, drink, motherfucker, drink, motherfucker.
And that positioning creates loyalty. That positioning survives controversy. The political alignment became explicit. Nelk positioned themselves firmly in the MAGA ecosystem. Trump appearances, rally speeches, conservative guests. And this alienated half the potential audience, cost them mainstream legitimacy. It was exactly the right move, because the other half became fiercely loyal. This is the choice every creator faces: broad appeal or deep loyalty. Broad appeal means more people like you a little. Deep loyalty means fewer people love you completely. And Kyle chose deep loyalty, and deep loyalty funds businesses. The numbers by 2025 tell the complete story. Nelk's YouTube, 7.6 million subscribers, demonetized but posting. Full Send merchandise, $70 to $100 million annual revenue. Happy Dad, $250 to $300 million valuation. Combined ecosystem worth approximately $400 to $500 million. Kyle's personal net worth, $25 million. And these aren't projections, these are current valuations. From dropping out of film school to building a $400 to $500 million creator ecosystem. From getting demonetized to making platform monetization irrelevant. I mean, that's not luck, that's systematic building. That's infrastructure creation. That's understanding that platforms are temporary, but audiences are permanent if you treat them right. The criticism never stopped. Nelk still gets attacked constantly, and the criticism still doesn't matter, because the revenue doesn't come from people who criticize them. It comes from people who love them. And that's the final lesson. You don't need universal approval. You need targeted loyalty. You need people who care enough to buy, who care enough to follow you across platforms and product categories. Kyle Forjar didn't win because he sold merchandise. He didn't win because he launched a seltzer. He won because he spent 15 years building the infrastructure that made all of that possible. He survived platform death, survived demonetization, survived constant criticism. He survived by building alternative revenue streams before he needed them, by diversifying across products and platforms, by treating his audience as customers and partners rather than just viewers, by converting attention into ownership. This is the blueprint. Build audience through content, convert audience into customers through products, convert customers into distribution infrastructure, convert infrastructure into sustainable businesses, convert businesses into equity value, layer everything, diversify everything, own everything, and never depend on a platform's permission to make money. The creator economy is splitting into two tiers. Lower tier, creators who depend on platform monetization, who chase brand deals, who optimize for algorithms. They're always vulnerable, always one policy change away from collapse.
You think Google's even gonna last? I think Bing's taken over. You kind of look like a Bing kind of guy too, no?
And YouTube didn't just dislike it, they declared war. First,
Upper tier, Creators who build businesses, who own distribution, who control monetization, who are platform independent. They build empires. They create legacy. Carl Forgeard is in the upper tier, not because he's the most talented creator, but because he understood that content is marketing and businesses are assets, and that platforms give you attention and you convert attention into infrastructure. That the goal isn't to be the biggest creator, the goal is to be the most independent creator. And of course, he's still building, still expanding. The seltzer brand funds new product categories, the merchandise funds new ventures, the podcast funds new opportunities. Everything feeds everything else. That's a flywheel. That's how you build an empire instead of just a following. So, when you look at Carl Forgeard and Nelk, don't just see pranks and parties. See 15 years of systematic infrastructure building. See platform rejection being transformed into platform independence. See attention being converted into businesses, businesses into assets, assets into generational wealth. Most people think Carl Forgeard won because he sold merchandise. Well, now you know better. He won because he built a machine that turns attention into assets, a machine that survives platform changes and cultural shifts, a machine that runs whether he posts content or not. That's the leverage, that's power, that's what 15 years of systematic building creates, and that machine is still running, still compounding, still converting attention into empire. That's the real full send. This is Attention Leverage. Subscribe for more real-life case studies.